Dairy goat farming has proven to be one of the most profitable agricultural enterprises in the country. Many farmers across the country are opting towards it due to the high demand of milk and the fact that most people are now embracing dairy products in their diets. Goat rearing is among the fastest growing forms of dairy farming ventures and is proving to be very beneficial, more so for small-scale farmers. Its milk is very nutritious and its meat is a delicacy adored by many Kenyans. Goat waste is also another form of revenue for dairy goat farms since it can be sold as manure. With limited capital, a farmer can easily start up a dairy goat project and be able to reap huge benefits from it within a short period of time. On today's episode of Sheep and Goat, we take you to Race Course Ward in Uasin Gishu County. We meet Stephen Langat, who is a trained IT expert and also a dairy farmer. He got his inspiration of starting a dairy goat due to an availability of fresh goat milk, which he always yearned for. As they always say, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a small step. Well, he commenced his dairy farm with just 2 goats. With time, he saw the need to expand his farm owing to the high demand of milk from his neighbors. Langat narrates more on this.
I started this project when I first bought the land, and then I wanted to subsidize the food production or buying milk in the house. So I started with 2 goats, this one and this one. I just bought the 2 only to subsidize for my family milk production. And then as it grows, I find that there was a demand of milk with the neighbors. People are asking about milk. Then I started increasing one by one.
Dairy goat farming does not require huge tracts of land to farm. In fact, this was among the main reasons he decided to venture into this business.
What attracted me to buy these goats? It was because of the space. It occupies a small space. You see, right now I have 8 goats, and this space is occupying like another 5. That's around 14. 14 of them is not like a cow. You cannot keep 14 cows here. So this one occupies a smaller space, and at the same time, feeding them is very minimal, not like a cow. Yeah. So it was easy for me to set up this one more than setting up a place for a cow.
Langat mainly rears 3 breeds of goats, namely the Saanen, Toggenburg, and the German Alpine. The Saanens are majorly white in color and are fairly small and have small black spots on the udders, nose, and skin. They have neutral colors and they lack horns. They also have pointed ears which face the front. Toggenburgs are grayish and have white legs with a white strip running from their nose to their eyes. They also have a white triangle on their back. The German Alpine, on the other hand, are medium to large-sized animals. They appear in a wide variety of colors, and both does and bucks are horned and bearded. At the moment, he owns 8 goats. Normally, a goat produces up to an average of 3 liters a day. The Saanen is known to be the queen of milk, and when well fed, it has the capacity to produce up to 7 liters per day.
Right now, I have like 3 breeds. I have the Saanen, this is a Toggenburg, this is a Saanen, and then German Alpine. Okay, the Saanen it's whitish in color. It's completely white. It doesn't have any other color. And then the production, it's called the king of the milk. This one, it's well fed. It has to give you up to 7 liters a day. And then the Toggenburg, it's it's grayish, sort of grayish, and point color sometimes. Yeah. Sort of grayish, and then the German Alpha is brown with a black stripe.
He tells us more on his breeding program.
It always gives birth to 2 times in a year. Yeah, but sometimes you have to give it a duration. Normally, what I normally do when they are served, when they give birth, what you do is you give like 3 months for it to recover fully, and then you serve it again. So normally I give it a span of almost 3 months. So you see, maybe it is twice, but maybe plus 2 months ahead.
There are different types of grazing, which include continuous or open grazing, semi-intensive grazing, and zero grazing. Open grazing is a type of grazing where goats are allowed in the open field for a long time to graze. This is usually done in open fields, where they are able to obtain abundance of different forage and plants. In semi-intensive grazing, goats are allowed outside for grazing and exposure to the sun during the day and in a fenced field. At times, the fenced land may have a shed. With this, forage is cut and fed or can be grown here. This mostly depends on the availability of space. It mainly consists of the stall feeding, shelter at night under shed, and 3 to 5 hour daily grazing and browsing on pasture and range. In zero grazing, goats are not allowed to go out in the pasture to graze. Instead, the forage is cut and brought to the shed. Knowledge of harvesting time is also very important. Forage should be cut at the right time, or else it may be too young, hence cause diarrhea, or too old for palatability. Langat mostly practices zero grazing system. This is mainly due to the limitation of space for grazing.
Because space of there is no space where you can graze them, where you can do the paddocking. So it's limitation of the space. That is what made me to do the zero grazing. Yeah.
The production aspect and health of the stock is greatly defined by the design of the feeding program a farmer adapts. Goats are naturally browsers, inquisitive feeders, therefore should be fed balanced diets in energy, proteins, and minerals. Generally, correct feeding of the dairy goats is important for their general growth. For Langat, he mainly gives his stock dairy meal, grass, and assorted weeds, which they love a lot. During the dry season, they majorly feed on grinded hay mixed with maize germ due to the insufficient grass during this season.
What I normally do is give them this subsidized food as a dairy meal early in the morning and in the evening. Like now in the evening, I give them dairy meal and then give them water, and then they get milk. But in the morning, we do the same. But after around 10, 11 up, then we give them normal grass because we access a lot of grass around. So there are boys who are cutting the grass around. So you give them normal grass. Majorly, it has a lot of blackjack. Blackjack, they are very good with them. They just like blackjack. So you give them that one. They enjoy eating blackjack and the normal grass. And then when it is, sometimes when it's dry, you see dry season, there are not a lot of grass. So we feed them with hay, grind the hay, and then we mix with maize germ, and then we give them.
Blackjack, also known as Bidens pilosa, is a cosmopolitan weed with its origin being that of South Africa and is common in all tropic and subtropic areas of the world. Blackjack is also good for cows due to various reasons. It contains fiber, vitamin E, calcium, iron, protein, just to mention a few. It is very nutritious, hence a delicacy to them. However, research discourages cattle feeding from it, as it states that blackjack contains aromatic oil, which has an objectionable smell that can taint milk. Water is also a very essential part of the diet to the goats. Langat's goats do not take much water since the greens they feed on contain water already. As a farmer, it is important to do a thorough research on the goat housing unit. There are certain factors that should be considered when setting up a housing unit. It is important to include the necessary aspects in a housing unit where feeds will be stored, straw or bedding, and other goat equipment. Space for feeders should be available so as to ensure hygiene is kept and prevention of wasting feeds. For instance, Langat did a thorough research online so as to obtain the best housing unit. Since he can design, this was to his advantage since the process was not as hard. He elaborates more on the housing units and its constituents.
Yeah, this housing unit, I researched online. When the number was increasing, I had to research to see the best housing that I can put for them. So I got it online, this house, and I took time because I had someone who can, okay, myself I can do drawing using CorelDRAW. So I just designing the house, and I call a fundi and then he design. So the spacing is from the ground to the level where the goats are sleeping is about it's about 1.5 meters. That is enough for someone to kneel down and sweep underneath to remove the manure. And then the spacing in between one goat to another one is about 30, that is 2 feet, 2.5 feet. The spacing 2.5 feet. And then on the floor, the spacing between the floor, the spacing between one wood to the other one is 1 inch. That one allows the droppings to go directly down. Or if they just kicking, then they just go down straight away. And then partitioning, I put the partition, the space in between, about 4 inch, so that 4 inch they cannot cross to each other. Along inside there are doors all along. So if I want to remove this goat, I only have to push these ones inside, open those doors, and this one goes out straight. Yeah, the same with either of them. If I want to do anything, if I want to remove the other one outside, they can only, this one goes inside, and then I close the door, and this one walks out without disturbing the others.
A farmer can sell both the milk and the meat, which is loved more, so the famous nyama choma. As long as the stock is well maintained and well fed, they can bring about great profits.